Hi, and welcome to a video which is showing some of the new features which Sam Aaron has added to Sonic Pi, the midi-alpha8 version, which is available to Patreon followers who support him, or if you want to build it yourself, the GitHub version midi-alpha7 also contains the same code. And it's code that some of you may have seen at the video of the Raspberry Pi birthday celebrations slightly earlier in the year, where Sam was demonstrating an early version of these commands. And the two commands which we've added, which are very exciting, is first of all the command LiveAudio, which lets you feed in an audio signal into Sonic Pi, which can be included in the Sonic Pi program. And secondly, the ability to record that using an FX record command. And by putting these two together, you get a huge new range of things which you can actually do with Sonic Pi, which I hope to demonstrate in one or two programs which we'll show off during this video. The first command then, which I have up at the top here, LiveAudio, you have to give the feed a name. I've just called it Fred. It could be called anything you like. And you could put a comma after that and the audio channel which you're going to use. If you don't do that, it'll assume the lowest numbered ones which are available. I'm using an audio interface into my Mac here. It's an old Eddie-Roll USB audio device, and it's being fed by the output from an X5 DR Korg synthesizer module, which has got a keyboard connected to it. So if I was to run this program up here, oops, there we go, and start playing, you can see that we can actually feed some audio into Sonic Pi, and you can see also that the scope is reacting to that. So that was just played and that's lost, but if I was to stop the program and then just put this inside, which we'll do now, there we go, inside this with FX record function, you have to specify a buffer name in which you're going to record it, and by default these buffers will be 8 beats long. I want a slightly longer buffer for reasons which will be apparent a little later on, so I've made my buffer last for 32 beats. It means it'll record for that length of time, then the recording will cut off. They won't see any visual representation on the screen when this happens. And so if we were to, let's just perhaps try a different synth here. I don't know what that one sounds like. Let's just play with it anyway. We'll start running and record some of this. There's a bit of gibberish which I've recorded on there. We'll stop this playing, let's just do it that way. And now we want to see what we've actually recorded. So if I comment that out again, and we come down to the next line and uncomment that, it says sample buffer and the name of the buffer there. And in fact, I've jumped ahead from last time. Let's just take that command off at the end there and start this playing, and you'll hear what we just recorded, hopefully. Syntax error, what have I forgotten? Unexpected end of input. Sample buffer, test buffer for 2. Oh yes, I didn't comment that out, that's what the problem is. There we are. There's the recording. Right, so if we wanted to play around with this, we can apply any of the standard commands that we might apply to a sample, like I had on there a minute ago. Our pitch, let's put it up, say 5 semitones. So if we put that on the end and play it again, it's the same thing but raised in pitch. So you can play any instrument you like. It could be from a microphone, might be a violin or a clarinet or a guitar, and then you can write some code in Sonic Pi to play along to. And we'll be looking at that sort of thing in a minute or two. Let's just stop that, and we can now comment that line out and move on to the next thing which is possible using LiveAudio, and that is that you can actually produce some MIDI inside Sonic Pi and send it out to an external MIDI synthesizer connected to Sonic Pi. I'm actually using Logic Pro, which is running on here, and so that MIDI will be picked up by that, and the audio output of Logic Pro is going to be fed back into my audio capture device. But I just change a couple of plugs over here, which I've now done. And if we start this playing, and here I have to admit that this is nicked from Sam Aaron, this code. It was some of the same code that he used inside that birthday video where he played some octaves. I think he used the note E3. I've got G3 here at the moment, but we'll see how it works. And first of all, we need to turn on a live audio input underneath there so that what goes out from the MIDI loop here is generated into some sounds. I've actually got an arpeggiator sort of synth on the end of this, and then it's being fed back by LiveAudio into Sonic Pi. Here we go. Let's just reduce the time there. We can change the notes very easily. And of course you can put some effects around this as well. Or some so you can see there's a whole new range of things which you can do with Sonic Pi using just half a dozen lines of code there, which will do that. I in fact have gone a bit further than that, and in the other program which I've already produced in true Delia Smith fashion, which is over here, I'm going to actually take an old favourite of mine, which I often use for demonstrating bits in Sonic Pi, which is the round Frere Jacques, and we're going to actually record Frere Jacques. I'm going to play it on a keyboard, but I'm going to play each of the four parts separately, and then we're going to use Sonic Pi rather like a multi-track recorder to put all these together. And then once we've got these recordings in here as samples, we can actually manipulate them in various ways. We can add some a drum track which is generated inside Sonic Pi, and we can also add some MIDI playing out of Sonic Pi to Logic Pro and fed back in as a further audio feed. So we end up with quite a nice jazzy version of the Frere Jacques round when we've finished that. So let me just first of all switch to Logic Pro, because I think it might have still be playing some stuff there. Yeah, let's just put that out of its misery as I cut it off rather in its prime form. There we go. Stop that playing, and it does show you it's there though. And we'll look at this program. Now the program is basically a recorder and a player. The first part of the program does some recording, and you'll see that at the start I've set up 4 different named buffers, each of which are 32 beats long, called buffer B1, B2, B3 and B4, and these are put into a string. And we're going to refer to these by using tracks rather like nomenclature for a multi-track recorder. So when I set track to 1, it's going to use the first of these, and when I set it to 2, the second, and then the third, then the fourth. So let's start off with the first track which we're going to record, and the 2 parts of the program are which one you get is adjusted by changing recording from false to true, depending on what you want to do. Well, we want to do some recording here, so I'm going to set that to true, and it says if recording then do this little bit here. So that's what's going to happen, this bit, Otherwise, when we're in playback mode, it's going to do the bit at the bottom, which we'll talk about a bit later on. Well, what we've got set up at the top here is very similar to what we've actually done. I've got a live loop which is going to play, first of all, a metronome beat. It's going to play quite a high-pitched note, very short, and it's going to play that with a sleep of one, so at one beat intervals. Although it's not going to take a second, it's going to take half that time because I've got a BPM of 120 set up at the top here, which you can see. And so I'm going to start this going. We're going to wait for 4 beats, sleep 4, so that I can get an idea of the tempo before I start playing. And then inside an FX record loop of the type we've exactly just seen, we're going to record the live audio, which I'm just feeding in, calling it Fred. And the buffer that we're going to use is going to be specified by the list of buffers RB, and it's track -1 because the buffers actually start numbering, the list starts numbering from item 0 as we go on. So that's set, ready to go. All I have to do is switch back in my synth here, the external one, the XD5R with its keyboard rather than Sonic Pro, into my audio input. And then I need to just adjust the setting on this so that I can set the first synth that I want to use. Just going through, getting up to its number 22, there we are. And that's ready to record now. So we can start the program running. You'll hear the beeps of the metronome coming in. After 4 of those beats, I will start playing the tune for for Frère Jacques. Here we go. Oops, something has gone wrong. We'll stop that, and that's not the synth I wanted at all. But it doesn't matter because we just simply re-record over the top of that. I know what I've done. Just a little switch there, which is gone. That's what I think. The right one. Let's try again. Stop that and start it running. That records the first one. Just to see that that has actually worked, I'm going to set recording to false, and we're going to have a temporary little playback thing here, which I'm going to set to playback buffer 0 in that list. That's the first one here, buffer B132, which you can see up here, and then it's going to stop. So let's just see if that's come out all right. So there we are. So you can see that's come out all right. We'll play right through, and that's fine. So now we'll go back to recording mode, true, and we'll simply whiz through recording the other 3 tracks. So track number 2, look at my crib and just set the synth to that one. And here we go. Start recording. Yeah. And in fact, I forgot that synth has actually got a crossover on the bottom note, so we get a little flourish on the last note, but it won't matter, it'll all add to the fun when it comes out. Let's change that to track number 3, and we'll change the synth again to this one. Okay. And then we'll start recording that. Okay, one to go. Stop that. And we'll change to the final synth, which is this one. And we'll change the track to number 4, so we don't record over track 3, track number 4. And we're ready to go. Here we go. There we are, and so we've got all 4 tracks recorded now. I'm going to take out the temporary one we had just to play one of those to check it was working. Comment that out, so that means that on the else section it's going to come on to the section which we got down here below. And there are actually 3 different sections. First of all, let's look at the bottom one here, which I've got inside an FXG verb loop to get lots of echo on it. And that's actually going to play Sonic Pi, play Frere Jacques. You can see it's going to play, first of all, sample RB0, then sample RB1, then sample RB2, and sample RB3. Each one of them is going to have a relative pitch setting, which initially is going to be given by TR, which is set to 1 to start with, because we're going to go around a loop 4 times, taking the value of TR. So the first time around that loop, TR will be 0. So effectively, the R pitch doesn't actually take any account. The pan setting for that is 1 over to the right-hand side. The pan setting for the second part is at a half. For the third, 0.3. For the third one, it's at -0.3. And for the last one, it's at -1. And they've all got slightly relative amps, which I think may be wrong, because like I got 2 of the synths in the wrong order there, which is why we got that funny note, the flourish at the end of the first part, which should have been the second part. What we're going to do now is to play that, and we'll hear that running, but at the same time you'll see that we've got some live audio coming in at the bottom here. Now where's that coming from? Well, it's actually going to come from the live loop above, which, as in the last program, is going to play some MIDI. Here we are. It's got the same C, Aux, C3, 4 there. It's going to tick through those notes, and it's going to play the MIDI notes. It's going to last for a second, so we get some of the arpeggiation, which is on the synth, sleep for a second, and then it's going to go on round. All these looks and so on, and the ticks which we're using, the tick we're using to choose the note, but it's also going to be counted by this. And once we've finished going through Frere Jacques once, which is the 32 beats, which is the duration of Sonic Pi, plus there's 3 lots of sleeps between one part and the next, and we have to allow for those, and there's a -1 because look starts counting from 0 rather than from 1. When we get there, we're going to change the transpose setting by 1, and so we're going to play the whole thing again, but it's going to go up, so the C3 will become D3, etc., so C sharp in fact, and then the next time I have to go up again. So that's slowly going to rise, and I don't think I made that clear in the bottom loop. Each time we go around that, we're going to change the value of TR, which is going to put the pitch up a semitone as well. So we're going to get slightly faster, because when you put the pitch up, the sample isn't going to last as long, and also the whole pitch is going to go up. And then the final live loop here, which is just a standard drum type of loop for Sonic Pi, and that's going to play the BD house drum setting, and we've got a rhythm set by this ring here, 1001, 1010, which is going to give us the rhythm. And again, the look here is so that when we go round and the TR setting goes up, it's actually going to be used to change the BPM for this particular loop, to make it go slightly faster each time it starts a new iteration of the Frere Jacques, and in that way it'll keep in sync with the whole thing. So that's the general idea. The one thing I have to remember to do now is just to switch the audio feed back to coming out of Logic Pro, which is going to get the MIDI from the second loop. And here we go. Let's put the whole thing together and see if it works. Keep our fingers crossed. Just make sure I did change that back to recording false, so that we're going to play back, and let's start the whole thing going. I'm going to stop it running there because it's slightly painful. We've not quite got the balance right. As I say, I got two of the synths the wrong way round when I recorded them. I then dialed up the settings on the XT5R the wrong way round. So what we can do is we can make adjustments for that. We're simply going to put in an amp setting for the first one, and this just shows very well how we can make changes here. We'll slot it in here. An amp setting, and let's put that down to about 0.4 for that first sample, which is a bit too loud, and possibly make the second one, I just think, maybe slightly louder again. And let's now stop that. I'd better go back to Logic Pro and see, because we put it out of its misery, just to make sure that it did stop playing. No, it didn't. So let's just stop that. There we go. And then switch back to here, and we'll try a second take. That's a bit better, not quite so loud. You can fade the MIDI audio out, fade it in again. Just adjusting the output of my audio collector. Gone up to the second one. So there we have it, a performance by Sonic Pi of Frere Jacques, as you've probably never heard it before, probably as I've never heard it before. But I hope you've enjoyed it, and it shows just the wonderful new resources which we have in Sonic Pi, and which will be available for all at the end of the month when the new release comes out. So thanks ever so much to Sam for producing such a marvellous program. There's a huge amount of work gone into producing those, as if you can read any code, if you have a look at some of the code behind it, you will see, and yet it's easy enough to use, and I hope you have lots of fun with it. Thanks for watching.